Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, Timothy Antoine, said based on two of its assessment, economic activity across the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union is expected to contract between 5 and 7%, with a sharp rise in unemployment. He was addressing the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic in a video statement published this past weekend.
At this juncture, the International Monetary Fund is projecting that the global economy will contract in 2020 on a magnitude same as or larger than the global financial crisis. The extent of the economic impact depends on the length and severity of the pandemic, and those are still unknowns at this time. The ECCB has run several scenarios for the ECCU. Based on two such scenarios, economic activity in the ECCU is projected to contract between 5% and 7% in 2020, accompanied by a sharp rise in unemployment. Now keep in mind that prior to this pandemic, economic growth in the ECCU was projected at 3.3%.
In response, the ECCB is implementing several measures to address the impact of the pandemic. Governor Antoine outlined these measures.
Provided financial support to member governments through a $4 million grant, $500,000 for each member country from the Fiscal Reserve Tranche 2. Second, reached an agreement with the ECCU Bankers Association on a loan deferral program for customers for up to 6 months. A waiver of late fees and charges is applicable to eligible customers during that period. Third, created a page on the ECCB's website to provide information on the bank's COVID-19 response. Fourth, discussed a loan deferral program for customers with credit unions, the Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions, and national regulators. Fifth, increased government share of the credit allocation budget, thereby increasing the central bank's lending capacity to member governments. Sixth, instituted bank-wide telecommuting, working from home. And seventh, reduced the discount rate to 2% from 6.5%. This is the rate at which the central bank lends to governments and banks. Our central bank has also convened meetings with ministries of finance to support the development of national and regional responses to COVID-19. The ECCB is working very closely with the OECS Commission on procurement of critical supplies, assessments, resource mobilization, and coordination. The ECCB is also actively engaged with the IMF and the World Bank Group on assistance for our member countries. Our central bank continues to provide currency to financial institutions in every member country to ensure, for example, ATMs, ABMs can be restocked as needed. In respect of payments, our central bank continues to play a vital role in ensuring payments are made on time, including payroll and pension payments for governments and social security systems that use the electronic funds transfer platform. The foregoing actions have been taken to ensure that the ECCB effectively serves our region at this time.
Meanwhile, in looking at how things can improve in the aftermath of the pandemic, Governor Antoine advised that the thrust now in beefing up food security across the ECCU should continue even after the health crisis has receded.
Once again, the issue of food security has come into sharp focus. Recall 2008, when food and fuel prices peaked and the regional conversation about food security ensued. Going forward, as part of building resilience, we must ensure our focus for enhancing our capacity to feed ourselves does not shift when this crisis recedes. It has happened before. It must not happen again.
The ECCB governor pointed to the serious economic impact expected across the globe as a result of the pandemic and stressed that this crisis was unprecedented. As the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic continues to surge worldwide, the World Bank and International Monetary Fund, IMF, recently called on all the official bilateral creditors to suspend debt payments from the world's poorest countries, if requested, so they can battle the deadly virus. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.